Welcome back to the Fast Life podcast, which is brought to you by Simpson Motorcycle Helmets. Simpson is known for their iconic and aggressive style, which has always stood out amongst other helmets. Simpson has been continuously supplying us with quality built helmets that offer many different models, finishes, and visor options to fit your taste. Head on over to simpsonmotorcyclehelmets.com where you can check out all the different options, and don't forget to follow these guys at Simpson Motorcycle Helmets on Instagram. On today's episode, we have Amadeus out of Nashville, Tennessee. I sat down with him at thundermax while we were doing the Club Style Tennessee anniversary party weekend. I've been following this guy for a while. I started following him through Chopsky, which is another well-known famous photographer in the motorcycle industry. A lot of photos of him. Started following the guy. He's just all over the place, from modeling to motorcycles to dirt bikes to all kinds of shit. You're going to hear about it in this podcast. So let's jump into these sponsors and then we'll get right into this episode. House of Harley Davidson, located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, has your HD covered with the performance upgrades we all want, along with service, sales, and a stacked parts department. Head on over to houseofharley.com where you can order the parts you need for your bike, along with all the best gear and clothing available. Drop the Fast Life offer code to save yourself 13% on your online purchases, and give these guys a follow at House of Harley on Instagram. Lexin Moto is my Bluetooth headset company and has been for over 3 years now. The quality and sound and battery life make those long days on the open road much more enjoyable. Their latest headset, the G16, is designed to make group rides much better with a 16-rider comm system, Bluetooth 5.0 music sharing, and fast USB-C charging. Among the many things Lexin does for our motor community, they also offer the best customer service in the industry. The team at Lexin just dropped their new Lexin Smart Tire Pump as well, which is a portable tire pump that can fit easily in your saddlebags. Check out lexin-moto.com to see all the awesome products, which are all designed to make life on two wheels better. And don't forget to drop the Fast Life offer code at checkout to save yourself 15%. And lastly, give these guys a follow on Instagram at Lexin Moto. thundermax and their ECM computers are designed to provide your EFI-equipped Harley Davidson with the most advanced auto tuning on the market. And they just released their modules for the 2021 and up HD models. A thundermax ECM eliminates tuning hassles when upgrading your exhaust or air cleaner, or when adding a cam or big bore kit. thundermax is also in the suspension game with their iRide rear suspension. This is a performance air ride, which gives you the ability to adjust many aspects from the handlebar mounted touchscreen. This rear suspension is the best of both worlds. Check out these products at shoptmax.com and use offer code FASTLIFE to save yourself 10% off, and follow thundermax EFI on Instagram. I have been riding with Lucky Dave's seats and handlebars on almost all my bikes since 2016, and I'm happy to announce their partnership with us here at the Fast Life podcast. Their seats have always been the perfect fit for my ass, and with that trademark styling that I have come to love from the LD brand. Lucky Dave's also has some of the most dope handlebar options, from their classic San Diego bar to their Peacemaker bar and riser combos. They got what you need. I'm personally running the Peacemaker bars on both my T-Sport and Bagger. Head on over to luckydaves.com to check out all of their options for your HD, and grab yourself some swag while you're there. And lastly, give my guys a follow on Instagram at Lucky Daves. Now here we go with Amadeus.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
Just went out, mobbed over for Born.
Yeah.
And met up with everyone there. And dude, just had a blast, camped out.
Where'd you camp at?
We camped at the Grand Canyons right there, and then we camped at the spot, city just outside of the canyons, this mad creepy spot. My fiance found this app where it's people with a grip of land, they just rent out their land, an Airbnb, bring your campers and everything else out there, and you just do it. So we won't go out there, and I assume that there would at least be any form of light at all.
Some amenities of some sort.
Yeah, just anything.
Yeah.
And there was just nothing except for these two small camper homes in the distance, which I guess the owners in fact lived at. but it was for sure you were gonna get eat by skinwalkers, bro. For sure, like there's just no way around it. So we bailed out that morning and went to go crash at the canyons. It was rad. And then we saw, what were the other ones? You don't have to whisper it, but
Yeah, it's fine.
What are you?
On the trip out to Born Free, so y'all road tripped out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, we went up through 70, went through like Colorado, stopped in there, got homies in Denver, and then shout out to Quentin. And then just made our way down through Vegas, have homies in Vegas. Shout out to Jessica, shout out to Danny, all the love. And then made our way down into Bourne, and then took
So was
the
it like
10
just a
back.
trip for you guys in general, just to get away for a week or so or something like that and go hang out? And
Well, Chop and I had been talking about it,
Yeah.
and we've just always have been partners in creative expression. So, which is a field of industry that I'm in.
yeah.
So we were just kind of like, I wanted to get ideas. I mean, I've launched this brand, but I wanted to get more ideas of just like how these brands essentially do it and at these huge events that like are so rad, you know? So just like a lot of note taking, meeting up with the homies, collectively talking, and just
That
roundtable
makes
of
sense.
ideas.
Like getting out there and just kind of seeing how they operate and find out, almost like doing your homework, if you
Yeah,
will. You know what I'm saying?
You know, you don't. I mean, some people do, I'm sure, but you just don't go out there and just like shoot.
Yeah, you're not going to half-ass it.
It's
If you
money. Like it's so much money, man. You know what I'm saying? So, and then obviously seeing rad bikes, man.
Yeah.
And she's never been to like a bigger event like
Yeah.
that, so it was rad. And then also just to see friends that are vending there.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying about Born Free is that like each time I go back, I know more people and have more fun. Like I feel more connected to the event because of just the energy and the homies all being there and everybody's like, "What's up?" And you know, you feel less of a spectator and more of a like you're connected to it. So
It's like it's like less about their culture, or it is their culture, but it's less about what you're doing in it. It's just more about the camaraderie, you know,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bond, the unity of it.
So what, y'all do anything else out there in California while you were there? Just
Yeah, man, we kicked it with just, so I'm from that side
Okay.
right there, Venice Beach, what's good. And so we just tapping in with homies, chilled out with some friends in Apple Valley, kicked in some friends in like North Hollywood, just visited everyone,
Everybody.
dude. Yeah.
so what brought you to Nashville then? If you're from out that way,
A chick, not my fiance. Love you, baby. Not my fiance, but a chick, man, that I had been talking to off and on for several years. I used to be in a hardcore band. We pretty much like, I've been on the road since I was like 16 years old. But like, we just stayed on the road. I'd been talking to this young lady off and on for like several years. And then she was like, yo, I just moved to Nashville. Let's give us a shot. And I was like, dope, let's try it out. Normality and everything has always been something that I've like kind of cut myself short on.
did you ever crave it?
Dude, no, I don't really crave normality because I just feel like, in a sense, that's complacency or a form of apathy. But I do believe that like structure is needed, like consistency is super needed for just like for no one else, for me. Like, but yeah, I moved out here with her, and then that lasted like, you know, a week and a half, and then moved over, hit up some tattoo friends of mine, and they linked me up with some homies here, and it moved in with a guy named Ian Karabi, and he's really rad. He's really rad dude, really rad drummer, just really rad human being in general. But his father, I believe, is Michael Karabi, who was the vocalist in Motley Crue.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so it was really rad. being in that group right there. But like, yeah.
So when you were in this band, were you traveling all over the country playing
Yeah, all
shows
over
and
the
things
world.
like that? Fuck yeah. That probably also would help gain you so much perspective of just like, because you're the way that you are, you're very happy and outgoing and
Today.
yeah. Well, that's always been everybody that I know that knows you. That's one of the things they say about you. You know what I'm saying? And I think that you get that from travel, from being exposed to a lot of different, I hate to say cultures when you're talking about America, but there's a different culture in LA versus here versus Texas versus New York.
Everywhere, man. There's just so many different. We're all we're all the same, yet we're all so fucking different, my dude. Getting to travel around and getting that opportunity to travel around like I did really expanded everything. Kind of just opens you up to like, how you are in your bubble, and in your bubble, this is how things work and this is how things are. And because it's your bubble, you control everything in it and what's around it. And then you go somewhere else where you are not in control of that bubble at all. And it's something completely opposite that you agree with or see, and you're like, or you're just not savvy to, you just don't know, and you're like, fuck. Like, my shit needs to grow. I didn't really know until I saw, it's like.
Well, yeah, it becomes that thing where if you're a small town person, you never leave, it's kind of easy to figure out your life because it's small. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's really easy to, you don't have as many influences coming in and too many, what do you call them? Like you're not getting enticed to go all these different directions. And when you travel, you fall in love with like, man, I love the vibe in this city and in riding bikes all over the country. I deal with this all day long where I come home and I'm like, man, I really miss, Milwaukee. I could live there, but I'm there in the summertime, so I'm not really getting the real Milwaukee, You
just have your parts of everything that you love. Like, it's like food,
Yeah.
When you taste hot Cheetos for the first time, then you throw some lime, and then you're like, what? Changes the whole game for you. Life's completely different.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's got to be wild, man. So how did like the band stuff transpire? Is it still going on? Do you still have a place in all that, or?
Not with that band, but with several different projects. Yeah. No, so I come from like a Christian background. My mom's like a pastor and everything, and so we were like heavy into evangelism, so we moved around quite a bit. And so that just kind of like navigated my life into music. Everything was just always music. So started playing music and started writing music and joined a ministry that was like on this giant stature at the time, and I was dancing in that ministry for a while. And then just tapping in with like some of the illest musicians while I was a part of that, and then completely fell off in that aspect right there, and then joined a hardcore band and was like, this is the shit that I have to say right here. And yeah, man, it's just always been that. It's just always been music. And even now it's music. Now, I mean, it's like a bunch of visual art and other stuff, but it's still like, music's always played a giant role in life.
Was it a creative outlet for you, more or less?
Yeah. It was just like, just expression, dude. Like, it was the best form of expression for me personally, because there was nothing that was like too big. You know what I'm saying? Like, you couldn't scream too loud, you couldn't hit too hard, you couldn't strum too hard, you couldn't throw your shit too hard. It was just like, oh, okay, that's a cool show right there. That's something neat that it was never too much, as opposed to like possibly being too much in a normal circumstance of life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you definitely can get away with a lot more
Yeah.
when you're on stage.
You're on stage, fuck this, fuck that. Yes, this is awesome.
Exactly.
But if you go to Walgreens, no one's really hyped on you right there.
Man, that's wild. But yeah, that would that's one thing. All my friends that kind of did the musician thing growing up and played in bands, they did get to tour. When they tell me stories, it's just like I'm so envious in a good way. Like I'm happy that they had that, but I'm also like, fuck, I wish I would have took some of those steps in my early years and kind of explored more.
For
you know what I'm saying?
sure. Who wants to live in a van, eat ramen noodles at Pilots and Love's gas stations, crammed in with 9 other people for the rest of
But
their
when you
lives?
become like 33, 35 years old, and after you've been on this corporate push or this workforce push for the last 15 years, you crave some of that stuff that you like. I skipped that as a kid. You know, I had a daughter very young, which kept me on the straight and narrow. But at the same time, like, I never got to go to college and live in a dorm and fuck up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
No leeway for you. It's just
Exactly.
like straight to the point right there, handle business, which is honorable, which is credible, which is like,
Yeah, but
hasn't
so
happened. But yeah.
you get to this point now where like you just, you know, like when all that van life stuff started popping off real big on like social media and everything, it's like, oh, that sounds pretty fucking fun because I love traveling, and, you know, just the idea of doing stuff like that is dope. But man, I feel like a lot of people that fall into that kind of path that I took, they crave that idea of being nomadic and you know, just not high maintenance, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're living in a van, you're dealing with it. It's kind of like what it is doing bike trips across the country. We're staying on people's couches, we're sleeping in forests, and
It's
you know,
my favorite.
2 dudes to a bed per hotel room just to save money. Like, it's fun, man.
That's my favorite part too.
Yeah.
No. Yes. And no. See, I go back and forth with that because I'm like, there are those aspects, there are those points where you're like, man, I love being with my homies. Like, I love being with my dudes, and doing anything with my dudes is like the best ever. But then like 5 days with your dudes, you're like,
I need a break.
all right, I'm done.
I kind of want to get back to normal.
Yeah, like I'm done with my dudes right there. So it's like this back and forth thing, and that's the way it was even for me when I was on the road. Like, we were on the road a lot. I've been on the road a lot, and I've always enjoyed the fact of like waking up in a different state or waking up, you know, in a different country and like moving in that aspect right there. But like, there's nothing like waking up in your own bed. Like, that's your bed, your designated spot for you that no one created for you, that you created for you. There's nothing like that feeling right there. So, yeah, man, I don't know.
Well, almost like you could say that the balance of living one life allows you to appreciate the comforts of another.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? You know, I always tell people this is like, I love going on bike trips, but I think I like them so much because I know I have a home to come back to, or wife and family and friends that are not on the trip.
Yeah.
So there's always like this hunter-gatherer kind of feeling that I have going out and seeing what I can get and create. But then I know coming home, like as soon as I finally at the furthest point on my trip, all I can think about is being back home. You know what I'm saying? But at home, before I go on the trip, all I can think about is that furthest point.
Immediately,
You know what I mean?
first, I can't wait till we tap in with each other.
Yeah.
The duality of life.
Yeah, and so it's the balance, man. It gives. I think it helps perspective of things, and I used to end up being just a straight, like, not purposely. I just would be so irritable and assholish to like my wife leading up to a trip because I'm got so many things, so many irons in the fire, trying to figure out how am I going to do this.
Oh, you too.
And then and then you get to this point where like as soon as you get on the trip and you're out there, you're like, fuck, I've been a dick for like a month, and you know. Like, just it's a lot, like it's almost like all those curtains get pulled back of your own self on that shit, you know.
Well, you just have time to like think.
Yeah.
You have time to like catch your breath right there. You know that like hour you're supposed to take when you're like in a fight with your partner, your spouse, and you're like, and nothing's going to come, so let's walk away from for an hour, and then we'll like come back
Reconvene.
together and contemplate what. I don't do that shit, bro. Like, it's hard. So it's like those times away kind of just give you, I don't know, like a reset to eventually, like I said, you're hyped on your boys. It's fun being with your boys. And then at some point in time, you're going to step away from your boys. You're going to sit down in a chair. You're probably going to crack a beer. And then you're just going to like think about everything that's happened in your life, and just think about your life and just like get in that meditative state, because that's what happens once you get to 30. You're just constantly thinking about shit. And man, in that place right there, that's where like that reset comes, and that's where like you get that new perspective because you've had time to think about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I never thought about walking away for an hour. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Not to get off on a tangent of how to handle arguments with your old lady and shit, but earlier as a younger man, I was all about winning the argument, like making sure that my perspective won. And I think in my later years of my life, I've won so many arguments, or she let me win or whatever, that it doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? Now it's like I want to understand. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the importance of the argument right there. That's my deal with the argument. It's never about winning. You're already fighting. You're both are super stressed out and your anxiety's up. No one's winning at this fucking point right there. But the most important thing that like is worth fighting for is like that you are properly seen and you are properly heard. Like, I don't want my opinion to like win and overpower your opinion or your view. Give a fuck about that. What I do want is like you to see and understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Like
right or wrong.
Right or wrong. Like you see how I got this is okay, cool. Now that you see it, we can kind of like navigate how to change it or navigate that, that feeling and emotion to like not operate in that way or to operate in that way. And so sometimes that shit just like gets overpowering though. So you really just keep harping on the same thing over and over and over, and then nothing gets done.
It's also probably hard because I'd imagine your life is very unique. You know what I mean? To an average person's. And so, the arguments tend to not have like, there's not a book out there that really solve the type of problems that like say someone like you or, like Millhouse travels a lot too for work. And you know what I mean? It's like the traveling man's way to a happy marriage. Sometimes it's not cut and dry like everything else
But I stay seeing y'all happy. I mean, it's the same with us. Like, we'll smile. It's always happy and shit. But like, I can imagine.
I feel like now as I'm getting older, and that first year of being on the road with this job took a toll on Sarah. Yeah. She was used to me being home every night. She was used to me like, hey, motherfucker, I need you to take this trash out, or I need you to mow, or But now like she's taken those responsibilities, and which I think is like, obviously it's made her stronger. Not that she's leaning on me any more than normal, but like she can do the same shit that I can do, Mm-hmm. But I think like it's made our time together way more enjoyable because like, hey, we've only got 5 days together or 4 days this trip, and I'm not trying to fight with you for 4 days. So we before it used to be like we'd bicker over some small shit. Sarah and I really don't fight.
Yeah.
I'm super blessed, and I have a wife identical to me in a lot of aspects. Like we have the same humor, we laugh over the same stupid shit. But before, go ahead.
I got a weird question about that because I've never been attracted to a woman that's like me. I've always been attracted to the unknown of who she is and who, you know what I mean? And I don't mean that in a bad way, because now as I'm older, I'm like, man, it'd be a lot easier if she understood my humor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
I will tell you this, like...
It got dark. It got real dark.
Yeah, like, it wasn't always like that.
Okay.
I feel like the longer you're with a person, the more you become that person. You start taking on...
just different mannerisms.
Some of their mannerisms, or, you're apathetic to how they're feeling. And... so her and I are so much alike. I mean, we've been together 11 years, mm-hmm. and there ain't nobody in this world that I want to be with but her.
Yeah.
Like, we just click on so many different levels that, but to back, like, the traveling and shit.
Love that, though.
I'm not trying to argue.
Yeah.
And she knows that, and I know that. So like the little shit, fuck that, man. Trash can wait. Grass can wait.
Yeah.
Let's go do something.
Yeah, like be more mindful of the time that you have.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
because the time is precious. We're on the cusp of it being the end of September. That's fucking nuts, man.
Wild.
You're almost 40.
Dude, don't remind me.
You know, like
2 more weeks, man.
yeah, 2 more weeks.
You're in a good place though. You're in a good place though.
But like it's so crazy, you know, time this year has gone by super fast. We literally just blinked and Daytona happened yesterday, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, and now we're coming up on Biketoberfest and the Down South camp out and all this other crazy stuff. And
Yeah.
that's supposed to be the end of the year.
Man, it's you know, of course we've all been told this growing up in schools and shit. It's like you sleep a third of your life, right? And you think of that, you know, typical 8 hours a day, there's 24 hours a day, that's a third of the day. Well, then you think, someone said it this way, goes, think about it like this, when you turn 60, you will have slept for 20 years. And I'm like, fuck. Like, we don't think about how much time we spend doing that. And so it leaves you with you know, when you're 60, that gives you 40 years of your life that you actually got to live consciously.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that it kind of, to me, it wanes on me like, fuck, man. Like,
As I'm my whole shit right there.
as I'm reaching 40 years old in a couple weeks, like, you know, I don't think it's like a midlife crisis like we were talking about earlier. It's like I've already gone through those kind of struggles. It's more of a, like, okay, how long is my body going to hold up? You know what I'm saying? Like, am I going to be able to ride bikes until I'm 70 years old? Or am I going to start having, like, health problems because I've been a custom painter for the last 20-something years? Like,
Right.
You know, am I going to get like, all these worries start popping up, and it makes me more ambitious to go and do and have and see and feel and stuff. But, you know, it's a weird mind fuck. Like, every time you figure out a certain part of your life changes. And like now you have to redo life. You have to figure out the new version of it. Like, you got the update, and now you got to relearn all the buttons and all the shit to it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't get old. You don't stop skating because you get old. You got old because you stopped skating.
Yeah.
And I think about that, like just simply that quote all the time. Because like I've been super hard on my body. Like, BMX all my life, snowboarding, skating, just every aggressive, hateful sport to your body all of my life. And then now, a little bit ago, I just got smoked on my bike. And I'm like, man, how much longer can my body take this?
Or it's the bounce back is twice as long now, right? Yeah. So, you know, you think of if you were to got smoked at 20 versus now we're in our 30s, bro, you ain't getting up near as fast. You know?
Yeah. It was like a good solid 6 weeks. And I still am super bummed. Weird. Like, I still feel like real naughty, you know? But like falling in my 20s or anything like that is just like, immediately, like, let's go grab a beer, everything's rad, wake up the next day, do it all over again for another 6 hours, let's go grab a beer, everything's rad, you know? So it's but I still feel like it's a state of mind, like, you know.
I you know, my mom, on your point, it fucked me up because I'm a dreamer, if you will. Like, I always have plans, always have something I want to do. Like, I never live a life without like some kind of goal that I want to achieve. You know what I'm saying? And it's not necessarily about financial gains. It's just more like experiences. Like, I want to do this. I want to stand there, right? And you know, my mom, she's turning 60, and you know, she's got, you know, money saved up, 401k. She's like, let's go do something. I was like, what, Mom? Like, what do you want to do? Like, she has no idea. It's almost like what you're saying. Like, you lose sight of like any kind of goals to look forward to, and I think that's kind of when you start like getting too old, you know what I'm saying? And it's it kind of bummed me out because I'm such a wanderlust kind of person, and my mom is like been to Colorado once, pretty much stayed in Texas her whole life, never done anything else, and never desired to go anywhere. And I'm like, I felt bad, like I felt sad for her, like you've never had like this want to go anything. Like
I feel like some of that is like, obviously it's that older generational mentality, right? Like back in the day, I don't feel like I talk to my grandmother, my granny, almost every day, right?
I love that.
And she has never really talked about, she grew up on a small farm in Kansas, okay? And they didn't take vacations. Mm-hmm. Like, it was unheard of. Like, they would have never left Paola, Kansas to go to the beach.
Yeah.
Or go to Disney World or anything like that, you know? Like, and she's 69, so she's,
yeah.
I mean.
Think about this. Like, now that I'm thinking about this, I've never really asked my mom or my grandparents, like, what they want to do with their life. I just assumed that, you know, just very, very selfishly assumed, like, oh, they're just here to make sure that I'm alive, you know,
right.
and taken care of. But when you go back and you sit down, you know, like, ask your mom, like, hey, man, like, you know, you're this age, and what do you want to do with, like, what's your goal for next year? What's your goal for 5 years from now? Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, I just never, I hate myself for not thinking,
to
ever really.
See, I'm a big mama's boy.
Yeah.
So I get into that conversation with my mom. So and I joke around about this, but like, I ruined my mom's life for like years, dude. My mom's like rad. So parents are immigrants, you know, and
where's your mom from?
Spain. So she was like one of the first like female race car drivers. And then she like / was also like a model. Mm-hmm. So like that was like her life before she had my sister and I, mm-hmm. or like my brothers and sisters. Like she was really in a rad state, and then she had us, and then life changed, obviously. And she's still like so active and so like, this is what I'm good. And it's never essentially like something that's like, oh man, I'm going to build a company. It's like, this is what I'm going to do with this person right there, or I'm going to spend time with this person right there. I feel like my mom's like younger years, she had this really, really rad time, and then she had us, and she fell in love with the concept of us. And now in her older years, her heart has always been to just like love and give. That's mm-hmm. just who she is. So I feel like in her like latter years, she's doing that right now with just like pouring into.
Yeah.
I give you my mother's number, and I'm like, yo, my homie's getting ready to call you up right now. Just have a conversation with them. It will be the best hour and a half, at least on like the low end, the best hour and a half of your life. She'll want to know everything about you and just your heart and what you're doing, and just like give you any type of reinforcement and love at all, just simply because that's who she is, not just as like a mother, just like as a woman. You know, she's rad human.
You were talking about this earlier about like it was either your dad, right, that sacrificed a lot for you guys. Yeah. And you know, I got 2 kids, and I don't think I've sacrificed shit. You know, I'm still having a great time and partying, but I mean, I love my kids, obviously, but I don't know, maybe my generation, we just kind of, I don't know, maybe we are entitled little fat, you know, punks and shit, millennials.
No, it just got better for us, dude. And it got better for us because of them. Like, their sacrifice allowed us to, like, for lack of better words, fuck off. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I never had to walk, like, 10 miles to go to school. You know? I never had to, like, wake up in the morning and work, go to school, and then get off, go back to work. Like, I've never had to, in the fields of whatever, at whatever temperature. That's very, very real. Those stories are very, very real. But I never had to do that. I never had to do that because they did that. Mm-hmm. And as they did that, time changed. We progressed, we advanced because of them, because of the work that they placed for us. And now, not really our luxury or entitlement. Fuck, now it sounds like I'm fucking entitled. But like, the work that they did paved the way for us to, like, not
Well, and
have
I think
to-
that's the hope, right? Is generational things. Is you learn from your past experiences,
Yeah.
whether it's your great grandparents and then your grandparents and then your mom. Like I realized early on that I didn't want to have to struggle and do the paycheck to paycheck shit. And don't get me wrong, we did that for a number of years until you start establishing yourself and establishing who you are and how you carry yourself as a person. Gets you a long ways in this world, but it only gets you so far, right? That we talked about, Jason and I have talked about a lot of shit over the last 24 hours, but you know, credit scores and how you're managing your money and what you're focusing on and what you're investing in. And I didn't give a shit about that 10 years ago or 15 years ago, you know, and now it's like, it's a turning point for me to be able to do that. Now we don't have kids, but if I did, they'd be all right. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you're making those steps so that maybe they don't have to do what you did at a young age.
Yeah, I think society in general is just it's advancing to the point where, you know, the priorities of our grandparents, our parents, and now us and our kids, you know, depend
completely different.
It's all different perspectives on life and the different way that people are absorbing life and living life. Like, you know, I always joke with my mom or, you know, whatnot. It's like when you were growing up, you didn't have to worry about your credit score. You can just go to the bank and say, look, thinking about buying this house.
Right. Yeah.
I got this job.
I have a cool idea right now. Can you taste this burger? Do you think this burger is good? Cool. Can I have $100,000, please? Like,
now, you know, I feel like almost like society puts these like roadblocks in there for our generation so that we do have something to push back on and make it harder. Because maybe it was hard for them because they were, you know, they weren't making a lot of money. There wasn't a lot of job opportunities outside of, you know, whatever, you know, trades or whatnot. There wasn't a tech industry and
I feel like now, like if you're not making a valiant effort into whatever, whether it's branding, whether it's selling your fucking feet on the internet for money, like you can come up in any way that you want. You know, you literally. I was on an app the other night. Literally, a guy had started this company making etched dog photo keychains. Who thinks of that? Somebody did, and he's making a fuck ton of money on it, I'm sure. You know, like, so you can't tell me, like, older generational stuff. Like, it always blew my mind of people that, like, sometimes it's situational awareness of you know, living on welfare, being in this pit that you could never feel like you can get out of. But all it takes is one little spark, especially now in today's society. Like, it doesn't take much. Yeah. It just takes a little effort, and maybe don't be a shitbag human. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Sometimes it's just changing your circles too, and be around, trying to force yourself to be around people that are more on the path in life you want to be. And sometimes it's hard to get that kind of audience. Like, if you're kind of a questionable human, you know, I'm just not necessarily gonna open my doors for you. Like, hey, come, let me share the secrets.
Right.
But you know, if you're a rad dude, if you got the right, you know, attitude and whatnot, that's why, like, I miss the fact that people used to apprentice things. And apprenticing, like, it also helped. It taught people.
Well, you put in your work for it. Yeah. Like, you earned it right there. Like,
well, and you figured out if it's going to work for you too. So it's a double-sided street. You know, as the employer that's giving this apprenticeship program, we're going to see if this motherfucker makes it. But also, do you have the gumption to wake up every day, tie your boots on tight, and go out and put in an honest day's work at something that you're wanting to have this certificate or whatever at the end of it all, right? I feel like we've kind of slightly detoured on that. Like, you know, you look around, there's not a lot of people that want to fucking get out and work now.
Think about this.
Go on,
everybody see, like, when you remember when, like, let's just scroll back 20 years. I think most of us are old enough to remember when MySpace came out.
Sure, yeah.
And you know, like, when the internet started to provide more value to our lives rather than just like words. Yeah. You know, when you could start buying online, when people started seeing behind the Hollywood curtain through social media and through, like, you know, instant, like, TMZ type shit on a website kind of things. Right. You know, E-Bombs World and all these websites that we used to go to back in the day to see what was going on.
That was an
Shock Mansion, shit like that. You know what I mean? And so you see that stuff, and then that changes it, and then it starts, and then like YouTube comes out, you know, 06 or something like that, 04, and everybody's like, fucking making a video sounds hard, but now it's easy. You can do it on your fucking phone, right?
Yeah. But
this whole idea of like people started getting known through social media, and I think it was dangling an apple out there for people that felt like it was real easy to obtain. And you got like a lot of lackluster, like not real polished humans out there trying to teach people how to do stuff when they don't even know what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that sounds a little bit more negative to talk about it like that, but at the same time, I think it's like a false selling of like something that's going to be valuable for someone in their life, right? Like they chased something that wasn't very fruitful.
Right.
There's never been a better time to succeed in this world and be YouTube certified. That is a way for me to put what you just said.
Yeah.
There's never been a better time in this world to succeed and be YouTube certified. And sometimes that's really, really rad. And I'm not even going to like jock on that because essentially I am that. Like I'm self-taught.
I'm trying to be that too.
I'm self-taught in a lot of ways. Majority of all those ways. And it wasn't like a fake it till you make it situation, but it was like a fake it till you make it situation.
Yeah.
You know, being in rooms with other designers and other creatives first starting off, simply just because of like my initial look, right? You look at me and you're like, oh man, that's an edgy, probably artistic, interesting kind of guy. He probably has something super going on for him. And getting into the room and having, you know, nothing at all. But in that sense, simply just being in the room provoked the ability to like gain that whatever it was. You see what I'm saying?
You're around all these creative people, and you start to absorb
knowledge, which
and
goes into like the apprenticeship is what we're talking about again. You know,
sometimes it's about getting an audience, or being able to be an audience for somebody.
Or I mean, a lot of that is just like you said, surrounding yourself. Eventually, you know, you see all the time like, oh, this baby goat was raised with 3 German shepherds and she now acts like a fucking dog. Yeah. Right? So it's the same thing. You can't not hang around creative people and eventually come up with an idea or something that's like, oh yeah, that,
or not to be inspired by them to want, you know,
to do better.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it copying people. I think I say this all the time. Being a custom painter is like I am a bowl of all my inspirations is what makes up who I am. That's 100% it is. I hate to say that anything I do is original because it's all original. The only thing original about it is the fact that I meshed everything that inspired me together to create something that's kind of its own thing, right? Yeah. But it's definitely got a little of this and a little of that and a little bit of this guy, a little bit of this scene and era.
Who's your biggest inspiration as a painter?
My biggest inspiration as a painter isn't even a custom painter. It's Alex Gray. He's my favorite, like fine artist, contemporary artist, visionary artist. He does like, so you know the band Tool?
Yep.
So he has pretty much done all their album artwork over the last, since probably Enema, however you fucking say that word.
Enema?
Yeah. It's got an A in it. Is the A silent?
I don't know.
on that album,
that's gonna give it a Google.
But you know, this guy was he back before printing, he did anatomy books. That was his thing. So he would do these very and he's very spiritual, DMT.
96.
Huh?
96.
He would make these like very, like it's hard. Pull up Alex Gray right quick on there so I can show you guys like some of his artwork. And it's all about different states of mind and being and things like that. And when I was trying to find myself in art, I fell in love with this dude's stuff. You know what I'm saying? And even though I don't think much of it shows through anything I do now, it kind of like taught me to appreciate art. You know what I'm saying? So this is Alex Gray stuff right here.
Oh, slick! I'm familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's read a couple of his books. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they get a little out there. You know, past what I can understand. But you know, I've just been a big fan of his, and then so many painters over the years, like custom painters, have definitely influenced me, and it's just, I don't know, it's a weird world, you know, when that stuff happens.
Slick.
So I don't know, but I'm honestly, man, nowadays I'm more inspired by so many things, like photographers that I like, people that I watch a lot of YouTube. So there's a lot of like YouTube creators out there that I find inspiration from on how they get their message out there. You know what
Sure,
I'm saying? Because
right.
that's something that I want to do more and get into YouTube more. I find myself watching more people to find my voice, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Maybe that answers your question.
Yeah.
What was the question?
Your art. Who inspired? Like, what's your main fire? So you get you know, traveling around, come to Nashville, and then, you know, what's it like early days for you here in Nashville, like doing the band stuff still?
Oh man, Nashville. I'm gonna sound like a person that's lived in Nashville for a while. Early
How long have you been
Nashville,
here?
my time was, I've been in Nashville like about 7.5 years now. When I came into Nashville, Nashville was like mad dope. Nashville is still dope. The progression of the city is beautiful, and I love every new face that comes into this town and every new experience that I get to create with any new face that I meet. So that's super dope. Old Nashville, around the time that I came, was kind of like, and I moved to East Nashville, was like it was just kind of like on the grittier side. So it reminded me of like,
It's a very eclectic neighborhood back in the day.
it reminded me of like Venice before like Venice became super cool and gentrified. So it's like mad gritty. There are so many different types of individuals living there, so many different cultures, so many different styles, and it was something beautiful artistically to pull from. And it was tight. The early years of Nashville were super rad. Everyone was really, really welcoming.
Yeah.
The South has always had that vibe, though, like just pretty welcoming and
That's how
you
Austin
know.
was too, about 7-8 years ago.
yeah.
And
Like,
it's
everyone
really
had
hard
a homie of a homie. That's why, like, anytime Millie calls me or call me up and you're like, yo, do you know someone that could do this or this? Because that's how the city treated me so beautifully. Like, made sure that I was taken care of. And that, I'm sure that's not everyone's story, but like the community that surrounded me, they were just bangers at that. Just like giants.
So when did you start doing like some of the modeling type stuff?
Oh man, I've been modeling all my life. That's
Bro.
been like this ongoing thing about being pretty. I've just always been pretty. Nothing I
Pretty
can do.
motherfucker over here, man.
Yeah, nothing I can do about that. You know, good genetics. But I've modeled all my life.
And did that like open the opportunities working with like designers and stuff like that? Like you were getting
That, yeah, that's what kind of like changed the game for me. And I wanted to be more than just like someone's face on like their campaign.
Yeah.
Like I started seeing these, so that's what got me into like photography and videography. That's what got me into like creative direction. Is I'm on set with not just myself, but a whole production team, and their responsibilities and their part in itself, it just seemed completely fascinating.
Yeah.
And so like watching the photographer, like even photographers and videographers in themselves, being able to make an individual feel comfortable and getting that individual out of their box, out of their head, and molding them essentially to get
The
quote
image.
unquote that perfect shot, that perfect visual, that perfect representation, you know, is so skillful, just a crazy craft, you know.
That's the hardest part. So the technicality side of photography, a lot of people can learn that, but the composition, like learning how to get the shot and how to, especially when you're working with people, and that's why a lot of photographers will kind of shy away from people because they have anxiety in that situation.
I have a dear sister. She is one of the illest photographer. Commercial stuff is all over. You've seen it. Crippling anxiety and this room right here
real.
with us. One-on-one, she's great. Anytime that is familiar faces, she's great. But 4 or 5 unfamiliar faces, crumbles. But artistically, just a beautiful genius. Her shit is fire.
Nice.
So, yeah, man, I fell in love with more so of being behind the camera, and I've always said this. I was quoted. This is just a quote that I've had, but like, I would prefer to be behind the camera and create something beautiful with someone else who is beautiful than be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
I'd rather just shoot Millie all day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That smile, you can't beat it.
Yeah.
So.
I sent him a picture earlier.
Yeah. You were playing the game in the bathroom.
Battle shit, you ever played it?
No.
He was in one bathroom and I was in the other. We had nachos, dude. Didn't.
Oh.
I thought about taking my shirt
Did you also? Okay, cool.
No, I was researching some stuff. So.
But I fell in love with that aspect, and that's what kind of led me on my journey in that. But, you know, being a full-time pretty person does pay the bills. So that's cool.
So, how did you end up linking up with Chop and y'all becoming friends?
Yo, actually, Chop, man, we are brothers. That's my best fucking friend, actually. Yeah, he'll say the same. Our story's like super short. We've only known each other for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And Chop was introduced to me by one of my brothers named Christopher Eubank, or Shy. So we threw this fucking amazing party years ago during the pandemic, and anyone that has anyone to say about it, catch me outside.
Oh shit! It was viral.
It went like, it was above and beyond. Fucking Donnie fucking made a statement for us. That's how big it was.
For real?
But we threw a party at my brother's house called the Fashion House, which is no longer his house, which is an Airbnb. It's been sold. R.I.P. But we threw a party called the Fashion House. It's monumental. It's a bunch of models. It was a bunch of different people that Shy had met, and over his years, because he's also in a band, he plays music. Savage After Midnight is his band, kind of like a post-hardcore deal. And they rip as well. But over his years of just meeting a bunch of other creatives, we created a hub, dude. Just like a hub. And a day of just shooting content with just the most beautiful women and just dudes and bikes and just BMX, skating, just everything that was our shit that we thought was dope. We just tag team anyone from Vegas to Miami to New York to NOLA.
Yeah.
I mean, every fucking place, dude. And then we threw a giant ass party.
So we actually me and my homies rode through here in 2020 in June. We were coming through, and I had just started following Chopsky at the time, and I had noticed that he was here because he was shooting down like Murfreesboro or some shit like that. And I was trying to message him like, hey man, like, wanted to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And I just remembered that was June 2020 when I started following him and shit like that. And so middle of the pandemic.
Then that was when we like tapped in for reals, because Shy had met him some years ago when Chop was like, yo, let's partner together on some stuff. And Shy introduced us. And then him and I hit it like immediately. Oh, like, you ride Harleys? Yeah, I just got this Harley. He had just got a lowrider. He had just got his lowrider S, and I was like, oh, dude, I just got a Dyna. Like, I got a lowrider too. It's 2016, last of the greatest Dynas. But like, you know, let's do stuff together. Yeah. And so that was like, I didn't know really anything about like club style anything. Like, I wasn't really savvy in the stunt world at all.
What made you want to pick up that Dyna?
Well, because I'm an old BMX kid.
Okay.
Like, that's my history right there. Sponsored rider for like many years. And that's like my history. And so when the very first thing that I went to with Chop, Chop and we had just met, we hit it off, and then we were like, yo, let's mob over to East Coast in 2020. And he was like, and we'll stop along these places along the way. So we stopped in Philly, we stopped in like Pittsburgh, we stopped everywhere, dude. And just teaming up with friends, tapped in with my homies at their garage. Like, it was a fun vibe.
Yeah.
I talk with my hands too.
That's
I know
fine.
my shit's like, sorry.
I thought they were gang signs.
Yeah. Oh, stacking up. Catch me. But so like we mobbed out, and it was the best time. That was that camaraderie.
Yeah.
Right there. That's when him and I really got to bond. Went up to East Coast and then I saw Gabe Reckless like be awesome.
Yeah.
It was like it was that right there. And it wasn't just that, it was just like the whole culture. Like, I've lived in New York before, and seeing like 12 o'clock boys like mob up and like do their thing, little dirt bike boys like rip it, and just seeing all of this stuff. It was the energy.
Yeah.
And then like, I'm pretty sure like the East Coast and crew coined the phrase, but it's like controlled chaos.
Yeah.
And that's my life. That's who I am as an individual.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely would speak to you then.
So I was obviously captivated by that, and I was like, this shit's like BMX. Let's run it. Like, you get like, I see everyone create like their fire ass line right there. They'll come up, burn out, wheelie, drift this way, whatever. Like, it's their line. That's just like any skating line or BMX line. Like, you want to be as swaggy and as steezy as possible. You want to have style and finesse with it. So I immediately identified with it on that. And then also just that it's so beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Like, the expression of it.
Going to like a East Coastin' party, especially if it was 2020 when you went.
Yeah, man, that one was wild.
That was the one that pretty much blew out the event to where,
Yeah.
they had a hard time pulling it off last year.
Yeah, man. It was gonna be one hard to top anyways. But yeah, it's definitely one that made it, a bit tougher for them in 2021. And I hope something comes this year too.
Yeah.
But that was the one that, like, man, so many people were there.
Yeah.
It was legendary. The energy that was in that fucking city, bro.
Yeah.
It was wild. But yeah, that's how I got into riding like that. Just like, I wanted to learn how to wheelie. I wanted to learn how to like just throttle control.
Yeah.
Just like working on anything else.
Yeah, that stuff is definitely, so many skateboarders over the years, BMX guys, a lot of that extreme sports world has always kind of bled over into the dyna culture and the dirt bike culture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And, I know snowboarders that ride dynas that are like, semi-pro. There's a bunch, man. Like, it's just that transition from something kind of like you were saying, something that you can still have a style to, but also it touches that adrenaline junkie.
Just like
vibe.
a bit more. Like, it's no joke, like, coming out with a line like on a bike or boarding. Just, it's no joke once you get to a point and you're like actually like pushing for real things, for real tricks, for real clips. So you get used to that point right there. Like, you get used to that feeling. Like, yeah, this could hurt. Like, I could mess myself up on this, but after a while, that thought just like goes all the way to the back of your head, and it's like, yeah, something I can like wreck myself, but it's not going to be that bad.
If that's in the forefront of your head, then you're never going to take that chance. So.
But with like stepping onto that bike, there's never been a time where I've been like, oh, like, I can't treat it nonchalantly. Like, even if we're like wilding out while there are cars out, and other pedestrians, like, it's something that is never treated nonchalantly. So just on that
It might look that
mental,
way.
yeah, just on that mental aspect right there, there's already that like gripping of the heart, you know, so that makes it way more appealing than what I would do on my bike. Not to say that like it wouldn't be big.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, man, stepping on these bicycles with motors on them, dude, is a whole new ball game. Putting them up in the air is something completely different too. Rolling them around is just wild.
Yeah. We hosted a couple of years back, probably, I think 2020 is when we did it. In November, we hosted a hood ride, and, you know, Sit Down Steve came, and that's when I first met him, and he pissed in my studio, remember?
Legend.
Yeah, fucker. And what we were trying to do was, like, create some internet hype and attention, but also to kind of shine light on our stunt scene that we have in Dallas. And so put it out, had a lot of people, Lexin sponsored it, came down, and just mobbed streets of Dallas. And Dallas is one of those cities where we have a no chase policy, so cops pretty much do nothing as you're doing. So we have a big dirt bike culture on the street and all that shit. And it was awesome. And it's,
y'all have that bridge, right?
We got a couple new bridges in there that are.
There's like the spots, yeah.
Yeah, they're like kind of suspension style bridges and whatnot, and it really kind of beautified, I guess is the word, our skyline, if you will. And
the Dallas skyline's fucking dope.
We have a hotel that has the Omni Hotel. It's got a lot of lights on it, and it can project pictures on it. And so we got a colorful city. It's really dope, but we kind of lack some of the, you know, artistic nature of like Austin, or self-expressatory artisticness of like Austin or even Venice. You know what I'm saying, like that.
Yeah, no, Austin's mad, like open. Love that city.
It's Dallas is like a business town though. Like it's very business, like corporate kind of shit.
Well, that's
you know?
for the past few years. I mean, it's always been like that for like a while too. The same with Houston up until the past several years, like when the transitions started to happen. Like it's always been just like a very cut dry city. Like the city's there, there's potential for it, but it just hasn't been honed into yet. Yeah, these past couple of years, like things are like popping, coming out, you know.
Yeah, Houston's got, I don't know, Houston's always been hard to navigate for me. Like Dallas isn't as big as Houston, and it's easy to know the neighborhoods that you go to have, you know, fun. Like this is, you know, we got our Deep Ellum in Dallas and our Greenville Avenue. You're good. We rolling, baby. Yep. Yeah. So y'all have a freezer here to put bikes in to product test for cold startups.
Yeah.
That really blew my mind, actually. Yeah.
I didn't think y'all were that serious.
It's weird how that happens. Yeah. Like this random cooler, and everybody's like, "What is that? An oven?"
Yeah, that's what I thought it was, an oven or something.
No, it's a cold walk-in cooler. You can pull a motorcycle in, leave it sit for 24 hours, and then they put on like these barometric pressure readers and shit.
Yeah.
And they're able to do startup algorithms due to extreme cold. So it's pretty neat. Blew my mind when I first started working here too. But a lot of it is, you know,
can you get locked in there? Like if you're inside and the door shuts, will it lock you in?
I don't know. Maybe
it's one of those.
Like if I like walk in there and then like, you know,
it shuts
it just shuts.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Now you got a voice.
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't go in there when anybody's in here.
Okay.
Just because for fear of that, you know. I could probably stay in there for 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's like doing a cold plunge or some shit like that.
Right, yeah. Maybe. But I don't want to be in there for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a shorts wearer.
You are a shorts wearer.
I don't wear long pants a lot.
Why don't you wear pants?
You're
that guy they make memes about where it's like 20 degrees and there's always that one guy out there with shorts.
They're in shorts like it's not cold, bro. We all feel this.
You know, I do wear pants, but it's got to be brisk.
Brisk?
Yeah, like I'm a big boy. I don't want to start sweating.
Oh, okay.
I feel that.
Yeah.
So like fall when it's crispy in the air, I'm okay to throw a pair of long pants on.
Okay.
But definitely.
So in the wintertime, you're wearing pants.
Yeah, no shirts.
Okay. I see.
Flip it on.
I'm gonna flip it on you. I'm a seasonal flipper right there.
Yeah. I don't know. I've over the years, like I haven't worn shorts a lot. And then it's like if you don't wear shorts enough, then you know I don't get enough tan on my legs, and you can't break them out midsummer because then it's just off. You got these super white ass legs. Right. And it fucks up my outfit and shit, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a shorts boy, mad short. I like
I'm
thighs
from the 90s.
Out there. Yeah.
What are you, like a 5? Like a 5-inch?
5-incher right there. That's a solid.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's-
5-6-incher. That my thighs are.
I'll tell you this.
My legs are tattooed too, so it's like.
So last year, I was in Indy, up there for Jimmy's one of his bike nights, and I'd stayed at a hotel for a couple days. I was moving around the city, and I didn't have any swim trunks. So I was like, fuck it, I'll go to Walmart and grab me a pair. Bro, they had these, they were on sale because it was close to the end of the season, but they had like 7-inch swim trunks.
Yeah.
They had cactus on them. Well, then they had ones with parrots. I ended up getting like 3 or 4 pairs. So I got some like real short swim trunks, and I rocked the fuck out of them, you know?
Yeah.
And I brought them home. My wife's like, "Oh, I like these cute shorts that you got." And then I put them on. She goes, "Oh, babe, those are really short."
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Man, I don't know. Like
I get out there. I move my
Live that life, boy. Live it life.
I'm not
shake my
hating.
thing for a piece of change. You know.
Let them know.
I guess I'm just, like I said, I'm conditioned. I grew up watching Jordan, and you know, pants had to go past your knee, or shorts had to go past your knees.
I explained Dr. J and Larry Bird.
That's before
Quit
Jordan.
playing with me.
Jordan
Before
in his rookie season was above. The
Oh, he
knee.
had them boys. Yeah, in Carolina, them boys was up.
Jordan created the style at the turn of the 90s.
Okay.
He's the one that started wearing longer shorts in the league, and it changed everybody in the league.
It's fine that you want to choose which Jordan you want to identify with, bro. That's fine, but we're gonna go back to the roots of it.
Jace
Them
was
Carolina boys was up higher.
Yeah, that was all of them though, across the board. But you know, he did change the culture, and then that was when I was becoming a teenager. So it was like that was what everybody did. I went to a very, very not a lot of white people school, so you know, I just had to fit in. You know.
Well, I'm changing it back, niggas. We out here short shorts. Also, if you can't tell by my voice, I am African American, so it is okay that this word is being said. Catch me. I'm sure he'll edit this part out. Maybe he doesn't. But we outside. Niggas out here short shorts. We got them thighs, boy. Them muscles is there. Let's go.
I like that. But no, I don't know. It's cool. It's fun. I do want to have. I got a belly too. Like I'm currently working on it. Not right now. Not
we
for-
call him sugar-free Jace.
Oh, you out here.
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah.
I'm with that.
That's sugar-free Jace.
That's the last. I need a new nickname.
Like the unwanted nicknames we were talking about
unwanted
last night.
The ones that stick. You're like,
Yeah.
ooh, wish that wasn't the one.
Windex.
Love that.
No, I got that. He just got the paint in the sun and the sparkle and the orange is dope. So just make sure
perfect.
he liked it. Yeah. But no, so you're here. You're on the bike. You know, the last couple of years running this bike stuff around Nashville. Like, how has the scene here or has it evolved at all? You know what I mean?
Yo, the scene is getting there. Honestly, what I think the scene here is more than just riders, though it is like we are expanding and like the community's coming together, is like creatives coming out and establishing themselves and then launching themselves out into this bike industry, into this bike community, you know? I mean, I'm sure at some point in time, Millhouse has said something about like Ace Graphics or like Mikey, like he is in this bike community. He rides a Dyna. He's built a beautiful Dyna. In fact, his Dyna won best Dyna in the South for the V-Twin Visionary deal at Loretta's. Yeah. This year. It was this year. But he's not out there like stunting or anything like that, but he is out here like printing stickers and creating these hats and stitchings for like pretty much everyone in the scene. You know, my homie John, who's in owns Revolutionary Paintworks. Like, he's painted some of the most beautiful bikes. In fact, he's going to paint Millhouse's bike. You know, he's not out here stunting or anything, but he is like in the scene. The scene in itself is like super beautiful and it's expanding and we're getting there, but there's still work to be done, man.
Yeah.
You know, there's still just a bunch of work to be done and just roots to
Well,
be laid.
I think, like, personally, the scene since really the club style stuff has started, it's brought a lot of people in that may not have, like, if you don't know Amadeus and just kind of catch him off of a blip, you're like, I ain't gonna fuck with that dude.
Yeah.
You know, like crazy tattoos, you know, just, but then you get an opportunity to do an event somewhere and tap in and you're like, oh, this dude is cool as a fan, you know? And then you start basing relationships off a camaraderie and a
That's
love
super
of
good. The club
motorcycling,
style,
you know?
the club style, you know, meetups have been like a huge role. Actually, one of my first club style meetups, like forever ago, that's kind of where I tapped in with a good majority of heads that I'm still homies with to this day.
Oh,
It's
when
still
it was
like,
at the bar. Yeah.
over
that was
at
your first
my first one was at
Gallatin Pike. Yeah,
yeah.
I remember that.
And you know, it's
'Cause I kind of hooked you up with D-Lo.
yeah,
and,
that's
like,
who you got me
yeah.
on with D-Lo. That's when I got on with Dale. And then that whole clique. And then, you know, shout out to D-Lo and Dale. They do their thing over at Moonshine.
Really kind of all over. They're doing shit.
Yeah,
at
they're at
too.
Appleton now. Yeah, I saw that too. So shout out to them boys. They're really cutting it up and like putting it on and on the stunt side. But yeah, man, those club style meetups have actually been like super beneficial for us. That is like the scene, in fact, you know. Aside from meeting up at the Exxon on a Friday or Saturday night downtown on Broadway, which that on the right night is also tight, but there's not like that
Tribalism for the bikes.
man, you know.
Positive tribalism, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, you know, when it's a meetup, like, all right, let's just do like East Coast, and we can also do like Cali shit too, and we could do like Southern California stuff. Meetups are like, doesn't necessarily just mean like me and the boys on the dynos or me and the boys on the baggers.
Just everything.
Like meetup means like everyone from your Grom kids to your little pit bike kids to your dirt bike boys, like whoever's trying to get down on these streets, like let's go. That's what meetup means. Where I'm from. So like I think we're slowly getting there. Just like I said, more work needs to be done. But a huge like role and huge shout out to like club style Nashville, because for a bunch of kids that just like are new into Harleys, like I fucking was years ago, bro. Like,
well, that's exactly what it's done for not just the Tennessee, but a lot of other parts of the country. That you know, the style of bikes that we're kind of all on, you know, they're just now becoming palatable to all the other demographics.
Yeah.
But you know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, you know, you pull up in a bar and you got a lot of, you know, biker style bar, and it's like wasn't hate, like when they were like, you know, fuck this dude, let's kick his ass or anything like that. It was more like they just understand, like, why would you put those bars on the back? Why are you doing that to this bike? Why are you doing that? Why are you wearing a helmet? You know what I mean? Like all this kind
I
of.
still say that. Why are you wearing a helmet? Also, don't follow my advice, because I've had concussions. All right, it's fine.
And so, like, I think that these movements that, you know, stem from social media kind of give a different demographic or younger generation of bikers like a chance to feel connected to it in the same way that these old heads had through their means in the past. So, you know, I think it's been super beneficial, and it's given people kind of the inspiration to fix up their bike or maybe go down that path because they want to be a part of that scene.
These old heads are just now coming around to it, though, man. And it took some work, because, like, I was super accepting of, like, your 8 bars and your 1,000 bags and your luxurious seat in the background. I was accepting to that, but when we were just cutting up, there was just mad hate at the beginning. but now it's beautiful. Now it's like, hell yeah, boy, let's go. Let me see them tires spinning, boy. Let's go. Let's see that smoke.
Well, I think it takes time for them to accept it. I mean, I've been talking about this at Sturgis. The first year that I went to Sturgis on a air quotes performance bagger, like you couldn't see. You saw maybe 2 or 3 other sets of T-bars or suspension on bikes. Period. You know what I mean? On baggers. Now it's almost like it's role reversing where.
Well, that's because the culture now is changing. I mean, if you look back into the culture and even how Harley like represented themselves, it was just more so on, you know, not the traditional chopper aspect, but like, you know, that biker look right there. What was it, like 5 years ago ish? Like everything was kind of like modeled on that like chopper-esque vibe right there. So you had like that sporty, the 72 right there, and then all of the night stirs, all of the stirs at the end of it. It was just more so like chopper biker base, or what the idea of the biker was at this time. And then within the past few years,
one marketing. I mean, I feel like the motor company, we've said this for years, they're always behind in the trends that are happening right to this day, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can generally base your opinion, but I know where you're going. Like the Hell Yeah Brothers are a little bit more accepting now because the motor company has put some stuff out that does that make sense? It's like it's diluted enough for society to be like, oh, okay, I get it. I get it now.
If you think about like 2016, man, like that's when, you know, 21 Days Under the Sky came out, you know, 6 Over, like a lot of chopper culture, and Born Free was like mainstream now, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then you take from 2016 to now, like just think about how much the stunt culture has dominated the social media waves. You know what I mean? Whether it's your Sea Bears or Sit Down Steves or the East Coastin' or, you know, Unknown if they're still around.
yeah.
My boys out there.
Shout out to Nick, boy. I love you. Love you, love you.
They've been cashing them checks is what they've been doing. I ain't mad at them.
I ain't mad at you at all. Doing the thing. Shout out to Chino. Glad you're on, homie. Run it.
A lot of these, you know, it's kind of like it lit a younger fire. And, you know, I remember the argument or the conversation all the time was, how do we get young people on Harleys? And I'm like, bro, like they're there, dude. Like when I was 20 years old, we were riding sport bikes, man. And now all the 20-year-olds I know, they're getting Harleys first. So I'm like, you kind of got that already, bro. You got the women riders now. You got the young guys on it now. It's like, just make some good shit for us, and let's just leave it at that.
Which is happening.
Yeah.
Slowly. We're getting there.
But, you know, the club style Tennessee thing here, I think John Jessup actually moving into Tennessee too helped.
Oh, huge.
Helped kind of, you know, solidify this state in some kind of way.
Yeah.
With stuff, you know what I mean? And then of course the V-Twin coming out and doing the show up there in Maryville, and you know,
I think that being in Middle Tennessee here in Nashville, you know, it's you're not far from either side of the state, and with Jessup, with that West Coast kind of mentality and that swagger, really locks the state up in such a positive way. Like he called me the other day and we talked for a while.
Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah, you know.
I mean,
but I called to see.
Shoot him a text. I mean,
yeah, I called to see if John was coming, you know, this Sunday, and he was like, "Oh yeah, dude, we're all meeting at the shop, and then we're gonna mob out and come and hang out and do the show." And he's been here for our dealer training, and you know, he and I have a pretty good relationship. You know, he'll call me for whatever, you know. And I've always gone and supported his shop. He's doing great things. And I think Maryville needed that independent shop, you know, not taking anything away from Smoky Mountain Harley Davidson or any of the other little satellite stores that are there. But, you know, I think it was a great thing for that area.
What about independent shops here? Like, have y'all gotten like the homie that started doing the oil changes and tires yet? Like, is there any of that?
So you got Craig with
Too Loud Cycles. Shout out to Craig. Too Loud Cycles. He rips it. He kills it. He's great.
The dude that won paint He won an award at Camp Out with the seafoam green Dyna that was ripping wheelies.
Shout out to
I thought he lived in,
Revolutionary
I thought he was
Paint
here.
Works.
He lives here? I thought he lived
John
in Michigan.
Pettis. That's your
he lives
paint
here.
job that won that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Craig
Okay.
right there. But yeah, he did win a paint.
He won an award. I
grab
don't
it?
remember what it was.
Hold on. So, yeah, because I was wondering if you had, like, shops in here that was, like, kind of helping, you know.
No,
I mean, you got. So, I mean, I know the shops. You've got. Okay, so Clarksville has a couple. You've got a few here in Nashville, but you really don't have.
It's a very tough question to answer because
Yeah.
there are some shops that each shop has something. So that's not discrediting any shop at all.
Yeah.
Every shop here around in our area has something. It's just limited on what they have.
Yeah.
Or it's a very specific something of what they have. But in overall, you know, do we have a power plant?
Yeah.
No, we do not have a power plant, you know. But moves are being made, things are happening.
Yeah, the
and
demand is becoming.
there's our interest in things that are like cool, but
You got to get your
know.
local T-bar supplier.
that's what I'm saying.
Every time so I was telling him earlier, we used to come to Nashville for the Easy Rider shows back in the day.
Yeah.
And we'd have a fucking blast because it was usually around February. So it's still like cold here. Man, I've got stories from like the Kid Rock Bar and White Castle. And
I love
these
that.
things,
Yeah,
man.
I
Like,
want those
just-
stories right there. That's gonna feel like home.
it's man, I had so much fun here.
That bike.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's not the one I was talking about. Yeah, but I remember that bike. It was sick. Hell yeah.
So
He's the painter?
No.
Oh,
So-
but that's the guy that painted for you?
Jonathan painted the bike from Revolutionary
from
Paints.
Revolutionary Paint
Okay,
Works.
hell
Yeah, Jonathan Pettis. So I mean, y'all should definitely tap in.
For sure.
Oh yeah, he'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah. No, he actually won't be here tomorrow because he just is getting ready to go pick up a series of material in Florida. But I will have his bike here tomorrow in the Get Bent Moto show. Yes. Yeah.
We were hanging out with Ben last night. He was a little saucy. Got a little saucy. Yeah, I need another one, please.
I would love another one, please.
Yeah. So what about like you know, with you getting into the bikes and leaning more into this, like have you thought like, can you talk about your brand idea? I mean, I know you don't want to put that.
I have a brand called Geared Solid. It is already well established right now on a specific aspect. The brand is split up in like a series of different directions. The focus that I have right now on the brand is, thank you, sir, is on men's mental health. But the brand also in itself is going to be a clothing line, kind of like graphic tees and everything like that, but also like utility wear. Like I wear Carhartt and Dickies. That's what I came up on. Never gonna change that shit, you know. And I wear like heavy ounce, big baggy T-shirts. You know, it's just
'cause
my
you're
like,
thin.
yeah.
You get thicker, you get the lightweight that way.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
box up on you.
I'm just kind of designing and curating. Just picked up a new designer by his name's Kevik McOray. McOray. Who is the
Sounds like a
head
Bond villain.
of he's a fire dude. Who is the head of design for my team, and then we'll be pushing things out this fall. We're gonna do our fall winter release here in the next like month and a half ish or so. But I do have a company called Geared Solid, and one of the campaigns is focused on men's mental health, but essentially just like everyone's mental health, which is something that I have embodied more so in my direction of business. Just after a series of friends this year, 7 to be exact, have committed suicide.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
It's wild.
And that's not even just like in my demographic of friends group. Not to get really dark or heavy on the cast, but like that's what I'm focused on there. But the brand, this fall we'll be coming out with our line, and it's going to be targeted around, this community, this bike community. It's actually just going to be an open contemporary expression based around all the shit that I do and have been involved in, from the hardcore community, the BMX skate community, graffiti community, this bike stuff. It's just an expression of
it. All kind of goes together.
It's all the same thing. Like when you think of how people dress, how people look, what people like now, how many girls do you see that have never even been on a Harley wear a Harley Davidson t-shirt? Everything just
name one song.
Yeah. Once I need 4. Millhouse is being kind. I need 4 songs. So it just all kind of like bleeds together.
Yeah.
So it'll be a fun line releasing. I'm very, very excited about that. But eventually I want to get into, I really just want to be Yaniv. Shout out to Yaniv. Shout out to Power Plant. You are an absolute man. Your bare bones build is so fire. I mean, we're from the same spot, but you're still a king.
I went and did it when I was in California before I went to Born Free. We did a podcast with him at his house, which is like right behind his shop. And I was talking on homie Danger Dan's podcast. I was like, dude, he's been one of my favorite builders for a long time, but finally get to meet him, chop it up with him in his house and see his shop, and just everything about the dude's demeanor and his vibe. It's just like, it's inspiring. It's like, it's my man crush. You know what I'm saying?
I'm right there with you. I am right there with you, dude.
His bike, the style of bikes he builds, and that FXR, because he was just starting on that whenever we were there.
It's so wild. It's the craziest build he's done. It's so sick.
And people, I don't think they realize, like, that bare bones FXR, it's running off of a Magneto. I don't even know what the hell he did with the oil tank, because there's no oil tank on the FXR, and I don't know that his transmission.
You run it in the frame?
Oh, man, he cut that trans in half. He cut it in half, dude. Yeah. That's so wild. That build is crazy.
It's pretty bad.
All your praise, Yaniv. Shout out to you. But, that's essentially the goal that I want to do, even here in Nashville as well, is just open up a shop that just doesn't curate and create parts, but also just like
it's part of the culture.
Man, break down every shop in every city. If there's a shop, like, the city scene is thriving. If there's a shop for people to hang out at and like kick it at, the scene's thriving. East Coast and boys, they have that shop that people meet up there, kick it. All right. You have Power Plant and its heyday and its prime, people are mobbing there and then running the canyons forever. Like, you have HPI, you have all of these places where people meet up because it's like that designated spot. It's that home, that refuge, that alibi. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And their culture, their scene is thriving. And not to say that ours isn't, because we're advancing and then Nashville's only getting bigger, so it's only going to get bigger. But there needs to be like an initial hub for us. You know what I'm saying?
When you have a brand that feeds into the community, it helps build, and that's how we've been able to have such a strong scene in Dallas, hell, in Texas in general. So it takes
What's
time.
What's your hub? Strokers?
No, that dude over there.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, that dude right there. He's badass.
Right.
I like that.
No.
That's energy.
Fuck that. I busted my ass to create the scene in Dallas.
Sure.
Not solely, but
Right.
I put a lot of energy to help grow it, and we've got a great scene that's also bled into a lot of other people's scenes getting created because they listen to the podcast.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, that's exactly what you're saying is exactly what happened with us and how we helped, because there was already pockets of rad dudes there, and they followed these other pocket of rad dudes on the other side of town, but they just never
Got together.
And what we did was hosted something to bring them together, and then it just like an already filled up town full of people that like FXRs and Dynas and shit like that just came together. And next thing you know, we got a fucking like a stacked scene. You know what I'm saying?
And so that's always been my ambition. I mean, there's been nights where I've just been like up, just writing out shit. Like each partner that I've had or each investor that I have, like how to pull from this, how to make something. And she'll tell you like, just, dude, if the brand can just curate a place of like home, how beautiful could this be? You know what I'm saying? Aside from like the performance and like the business aspect and building the fire bike and having like a fucking fire ass paint job, like all of that shit, aside from all of the semantics in the industry, if there's a place for motherfuckers to come and chill and just be, how beneficial will that place be in a cultural aspect? Like it's the most beautiful business model because you're getting individuals hyped on building something that they're a part of and allowing them to be a part of that right there.
People fall in love with their community when they get to be
a part of their community.
Like think about like, you know, I spent a lot of time in my life in California, and when you're, you know, when you think about like how it used to be when people rode down Crenshaw, you know what I mean? Like that was the thing to go to, you know, or Whittier Boulevard or wherever these things are. It's like, it became like, they tattoo it on them, right? It's like, it's so fun. It became such a thriving thing for their life that they were willing to tattoo it on them. You know what I'm saying?
Whittier, where the girls are prettier. What's up? Throw one up. 310.
We had a shop in like 2015, 2016 that kind of did that for us, called Chopper Supply in Dallas, and it had the chopper scene like popping, dude. You know, Oliver Peck's there, part of that scene. Chemical Candy, a lot of like really high-end dudes in that scene, and badass bikes, and they were throwing parties, and it inspired our culture, like the Dyna guys, to want that. And then when they went away, it was kind of like you know, fuck, it was kind of sad, man, because we had so many memories hanging out there and partying. You know what
happened?
The main dude running it just kind of went off the deep end, you know, cult-like kind of. He was always real hippie-like, which I don't mean that in a bad way.
Sure.
And then it just turned into
like free spirit kind of shit? Or?
Kind of. It was going full David Koresh kind of vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, and it was getting weird. But dude had a style, man. He had a shop that just had character and personality to it, and it was in the right part. It was in the stockyards of Fort Worth. Really? So it was already a poppin' place, and now we have this spot to go park our bikes and hang out in it, and we can walk into the madness if we want to.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I dug it. I miss it. Went away.
What did it turn into?
It just went away.
Just
altogether.
the business.
Yeah, it was gone.
Right.
He didn't really have a great business plan as far as like what he sold. You know, he tried to sell a lot of vintage clothing and you know, random parts and things like that. And it just wasn't enough to sustain a business. You know what I mean? As far as sales. You know, like obviously vintage stuff for like women, like the Harley shirts and all that stuff is big money.
Sure.
But women probably want to buy that from a woman curated store, not like
old weird dude.
Trico was killing it.
Bro.
Yeah, Trico was killing it. Shout out Will, shout out Dean, Dice Magazine.
Yeah.
No, they were doing like a lot of vintage out there. I mean, they were also doing like, you know, riding clothes and everything else. Eat Dust was a big company through there, but like they were doing vintage, but that was like, you know, and they were in part of Hollywood too, so that was just kind of like the community out there as well. But they were definitely killing it too.
Yeah, Hollywood's always had like a scene though, like the North Hollywood and, you know, Neve and all those guys. And
it's just the canyons, man. Those things rip. Yeah. But the community's always been. If it's not like boarding or art, it's something, man. Yeah. Like there's just too much culture there for like.
I mean, what was it in the '90s? That was a place everybody was flocking to go try to make it, whether it was acting, musician, something, artists, all that shit. So
the culture, man. Just the culture back home.
Sucked people in, man. Some people made it. Some people did some cool shit with it. That ain't good.
That's not positive. I got a homie that runs the Apple store. If something needs to happen, we'll make that shit happen.
Yeah, hopefully I won't have to.
So you put
too
your
bad.
beverages on the ground like an adult.
Noted. I got you now.
Noted, Dad.
Thanks, Paul. But no, it's so that that all sounds right. I mean, you got the right idea and understand like the how that can change the community and the culture of a town, and Nashville's got the vibe, dude. Like every time my wife's never been here, and I'm trying to figure out a way to get her here to. But I don't want to get her here and
Y'all
do
want
all.
to do a double date? Just tell her that my chick's really, really rad, and then boom,
Yeah.
done. We could do a triple date.
Yeah, triple date. But I don't like. I want to be able to bring her to Nashville and show her Nashville from a local's perspective, and not so much like we got to do the Broadway thing and do this.
Well, you have to do the Broadway thing.
Yeah.
You have to do the Broadway thing to know that you don't want to do the Broadway thing.
Yeah.
Like, you have to do it one good time, and in that one good time, it will have everything you need. Minus Roberts. Roberts is the last phenomenal standing honky-tonk bar here in Nashville. It is actually my favorite bar in Nashville. Fried Bologna. Some of the just illest musicians just go through there on a daily basis, dude. It's legendary. From Dolly to fucking Willie. Just everyone has had their time in Roberts, and it is a notable spot. So make sure when you bring her, you go to Roberts. Phenomenal honky-tonk. But aside from that, you have to do the Broadway thing to know that, like, all right, this clearly isn't this town. You know what I'm saying? It's probably the best move.
Yeah.
And just go on to other. Nashville's so beautiful, man. No one really like knows or like thinks about it, but like there are hundreds of waterfalls hundreds of waterfalls surrounding Nashville within like a 45 minute to an hour drive. Like, there are just the most beautiful, beautiful trails and hikes that, like, it is so green, and there is just so much natural beauty outside of the city, just outside of the city, not even that far. I mean, when you think about it, like, Venice is like outside of traffic. If you go to DTLA, is like 25 minutes, no traffic. 15ish minutes to DTLA. Venice in traffic, DTLA, hour and a half, easy, right? In 45 minutes to an hour, you're in what feels like somewhere completely different.
Yeah.
And just so much natural beauty. Also, there's just a bunch of beautiful history here.
Yeah.
I really, really fuck with this city. It's always been something like, there's always been like a charm that's like brought me here, even through playing shows. Like, I played all throughout this city in so many different places and so many different points and years in my life. And this is the first time that I've actually lived and just been obsessed with a city. I feel like it's a city of redemption. There's like mad glory here, actually, in my opinion.
Out of all the cities in Tennessee, like which ones are your top favorite cities to hang out with, do stuff in, whether it be Nashville, Memphis, Chattanooga, Knoxville? Like, I've always liked Chattanooga, but I don't know much about it. I've only stayed there a couple times, but I've had fun there.
Man. All right. Memphis, because all the homies to ride bikes with in multiple spectrums, not just Dinah's BMX, beautiful BMX scene there. Also, I love a dangerous town, bro. Like, think about it. Like, think about Venice 20 years ago. No one was going there. Y'all were not trying to kick it there. It was the most gutter place ever. Now it's like, after the whole Abercrombie bullshit, like it's the most expensive place to live in Southern California. But like, no one was kicking it there like 20 years ago. It was gutterish.
We went to the drum circle when we were there a couple
Yeah,
back in June.
dude.
Yeah.
But
see those
like
stories with Jaden and I?
Yeah.
But I'm raised from I'm from the trenches. I'm just from the gutter. that's not how I identify with, but like that is my roots and that is my upbringing. Section 8, that's just what it is. So because of that, like,
you feel comfortable.
That reality, it's not even like a comfortability thing. It's just like that in places of poverty, in my personal opinion, reality is more real. And I know it seems like I'm saying like the same thing twice.
No, I get it.
But like, so when you go to a place where it is like very real to be, like your awareness, all of your senses are up, you're on your toes. And then that's the exciting part for me personally, that like at any given moment you could be robbed. Nah. But like there's just like something spicy about like a town like that because
I feel rejuvenated in the mountains here.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's weird. It's to go out and try and work dealers, on the east side of the state. Like for me, waking up and seeing this God's country, right? It's crazy, dude, to feel this big, right? Yeah. Like
that's facts.
So I enjoy going out there, maybe just a quick turn and burn of a day, or spend the night, get up, eat breakfast, and then come home.
Yeah.
It's a nice, like, damn, this motherfucker ain't that far, and it's a sense of like refreshment for me. Yeah. Because you get tired of seeing the same shit over and over again.
Oh, Chattanooga's beautiful.
I like, Chattanooga's fucking great. Gatlinburg, Sevierville, like all over.
All the smoky stuff is badass.
Yeah.
There's a town just outside of Knoxville called Claxton, Tennessee. My buddy's family has a ranch out there. Beautiful, like so green, so green. That would be one of my other places actually. His family's farm. Chat's rad because I climb and there's just like there's just dope climbing there. Like there's some techie shit.
Well, and then like to be able to float the river,
Yeah.
We did the Etowah, which like Tennessee, North Carolina, and Georgia, like it all runs. That's it's gnarly. You know?
The thing I like about this place is if you did like a 350-mile radius around it in every direction, like you can get to some pretty big fucking places. You know what I'm saying?
Be in Indianapolis and, close.
Yeah. It's a central.
Yeah.
You can be, Chicago's not that far, St. Louis.
Yeah.
You be in Atlanta, and really if you push it a little further, you're right on the cusp of tropical Kansas, Florida.
Also, let's not forget God's country. You could be in Alabama at any given time. Roll Tide, roll Tide. Roll Tide, roll Tide. Y'all already know.
Good times.
Yeah.
Game just kicked off.
Yeah, I just feel like, thinking about the places I would consider moving if I was to leave Dallas, it just becomes like, okay, where can I be where going to other major towns is like something I can do in a day and come back home. You know what I mean?
Right.
Obviously 350 miles is usually a 6-hour trip, but you could do that in a day. If I had to go drop off a paint job and pick one up, or go do a podcast and then come home kind of thing,
Yeah, you leave early enough. I mean, it's nothing to.
Everything's central. That's what the beautiful thing about here. Yeah.
See, in Dallas, like you go east and you start hitting towns a lot more, but we're the line. After you pass Dallas,
there ain't nothing.
Until you get to Phoenix, like that's the next big city. I mean, El Paso's kind of that, but El Paso's like
south.
It's far, dude. It's like halfway to LA from Dallas,
and a stone's throw from Mexico.
El Paso, man, that drive.
It's so bad.
It is punishing, abusive.
But yeah, it's a wild one. But like I said, my wife being from Cali, from down there, it's like the further east we move, we feel like the further away from the West Coast we get. But we can't necessarily go any further west than we are without like making a huge commitment somewhere far. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it'd have to be Phoenix.
Yeah, it'd have to be Phoenix or Colorado type stuff.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know if I got Colorado money. Utah, I can't do that.
You can't afford it?
No, I can. I just too far.
Mormons?
No, it's like I said, I need.
So sick though.
It is sick. Great to visit.
chill.
Great,
Yeah.
great to visit, not to live.
There are some really rad farms there. Like there are two of the homies that have like rad.
Does he look like a fucking farmer?
No, like
City boy.
like they're city boys. No, but like what was it? The homie Andy Nelson, dirt bike rider. He has like a farm out there just outside of Utah. Really, really rad. He's on with Fast House, I believe.
Okay, I know, yeah.
So like, he has a farm there, and there's another homie that has a farm there as well. That's like giant hubs, kind of like what we were talking about,
Yeah.
but like in the dirt bike shit right
Yeah.
there. Utah's rad though, man. Also great hardcore scene. They have a really aggressive hardcore community.
Wherever the religion is the most prevalent,
Yes.
you get the most opposition
Yes,
coming out
yes.
of it. So, yeah, the fucking, but no, like, I want to be, I like being around places where you have enough options of places to go socialize, if you will.
And eat.
And eat, yeah. Good, a state with good food is always a must.
Yeah, yeah.
My
for
favorite
sure.
restaurant in Dallas right now, Hattie fucking Bees. I love that shit.
What?
And it's from here, apparently. Love
It
that
is.
place.
You need to go to Prince's.
I was about to say, Hattie B's is cool. Much respect to Hattie B's, you know, and all of that. No disrespect. Bro, Prince's. Let me tell you about Prince's, bro. Let me tell you about Bolton's, bro. All right? There's your two spots right there.
Bolton's and
then if
Prince's.
we're talking wings,
Buffalo?
quit playing with me. This podcast is over. We actually just ended this right now. Nah, if we're talking wings, we got wings, man. We got Rockies. Like,
There's there seems like there's a bunch of like rad food here. You know what I mean? Like Austin's got a lot of great food. Dallas not so much, but Austin has that vibe, and here has that vibe. I've had good barbecue here before.
it's so crazy that Austin is in Texas to me, man. Honestly, because it's in every spectrum, and no disrespect. Let me state this: I'm from Texas. Okay, like I am born in Houston, Texas, and then migrated.
Yeah.
So for like that year, I'm that Texas kid.
Yeah.
And then my family's out in Texas right now. We had a ranch out in Texas, Townball, Texas.
Okay, yeah, it's Houston area.
So when I state this, Austin doesn't make sense to me because it is the complete opposite of Texas in every way. Like it has everything rad, like art and
Well, I don't think it's not always been like that.
Austin's
Austin's
been
always been that
Artistic?
town. I used to
Yeah.
play. Yeah, I played South by
South.
so well, like
Southwest,
yeah, and then South by Southwest. Well, South by so what, and then South by Southwest. I played those a few times.
But
and
don't
it's
you feel
always
like there's a
been-
lot of like California, like push into some of these major cities?
Yeah, I mean, I think
that-
people that are leaving California want to find something that represents some of what the culture they had in California,
Sure,
right?
right.
Whether it's Nashville or Tennessee as a whole. I mean, Boise's popping right now. There's a bunch of shit going on there. Utah's been on the
Montana's going wild right now,
yeah.
dude.
Up in like Boise though, they don't like California plates on cars, dude.
Right.
They're weird about that shit.
Yeah.
I got a close homie up there that lives there, and it's like, dude, they are fucking territorial over here in Idaho, but
Because we ruin things. You hear that, guys? We ruin
you
things.
just drive prices up. That's it.
Right.
You make everything better, but we have to pay more money for it.
We are ruiners.
Dallas is kind of on the up and up. We have a lot of Californians moving there, and I don't mind it so much. Honestly, it's just more potential people to sell or work with or whatever. But I would love for Dallas to kind of develop a little bit more of an artsy kind of scene to it. Like I said, it's just so fucking heavy with big business, like oil business and all this type of shit
Right,
there.
right.
That we're talking about big money shit. Not tech money, big money, but old big money.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, when you think of old big money, you think of like cattle. You think of
Yeah.
oil. You think of like natural
land,
aesthetics.
people that have
Yeah.
land and shit. So
They ain't making it.
yeah, it's I don't know, but Austin. The only thing that like for us in Texas, the reason why Austin's kind of been taken off the list of like where we want to go is just because it's become overcrowded.
Oh, it's so busy.
You know, it's like it's not. It was enjoyable 7 years ago when you had the same kind of culture that it has now, but at like 500,000 people, and now with it definitely being, I think, at 1 million or so, it's not a town that has a highway structure that's supportive of like the amount of
roads.
people.
Yeah, the transit's terrible.
It's horrible.
Like terrible, terrible, terrible. Whoever thought of those roads, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, they're like, it ain't gonna grow here.
Yeah, but I mean, Austin's just been, honestly, in my opinion, Austin's been killing it for the past like 15 years.
Yeah,
that's been transitioned, in my opinion, as like, because what was it? 15. I'm 34, 15. I was in Bushwick, like living out in Bushwick on a mattress on the floor with like 4 other dudes. Talking about let's move to Austin and like play music because it's popping over there, you know?
The live music scene, it was the live music capital of the world for a long time. And I mean, yeah, you could go down there and like see guys like Gary Clark Jr. and shit like that just playing in a fucking bar, dude. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that it's that same way here because this music scene's always been massive out here, you know?
Right.
I don't know. It's music and music, art, and restaurants seem to be the driver of a great town to have.
Yeah.
You know?
There is some phenomenal food here. I am like mad into, I like to eat. You like to eat. My missus, she likes to eat. She eats well. So food here is like really rather a bunch of phenomenal cocktail programs or a bunch of phenomenal like overall menus. And there are a series of chefs here that are just
like legit,
mad, crazy, credible. Yeah. That have established restaurants here that are.
Here's one for you. So, Sturgis, we stay in Rapid City. Last year, I noticed a little tiny Japanese ramen spot called Bokujo. So, I watch Guys Grocery Games on Food Network all the time, and Bokujo is owned by this chef on the show, and his name's Justin Warner. Justin Warner was like Food Network's next big thing 10 years ago or something like that. And he's this very like little spotty, weird guy, but he's super knowledgeable on like Asian cuisine and stuff. Well, him and his wife started Bokujo in Rapid City. So Jake and I went to Bokujo this trip, well, in August. So we show up. I'm expecting like, it's just ramen, right? I love a good ramen. But so Justin Warner walks in. Like I watch this dude on TV all the time. You know what I'm saying? So like a little fanboy at this point, right? So he comes up, introduces himself, and I'm like, I'm texting Sarah like, you'll never believe who's pouring my water right now. And she's like, who? And I'm like, Justin Warner. And she's like, no fucking way. Pictures there, it didn't happen. I was like, calm down, I'll get it, Well, then, so he brings us our food, and we end up talking with him for like probably 40 minutes.
Damn.
His wife owns a wine bar around the corner from Bokujo. She's like, hey, y'all get done, come over to the wine bar. We'll do a tasting. And we're like, all right, cool. So food was great. We walk around the corner, and for like 2 hours, we're doing these wine tastings. And I'm not a wine guy.
Yeah.
You apparently were the other night. But,
Oh, wow, boy.
But it was the coolest
off the
thing.
zip.
Yeah. Coolest thing ever that I did the entire Sturgis bike rally was going and eating at a ramen spot in the middle of Rapid City and doing a wine tasting by this famous chef.
Yeah.
Dude's worth like $290 million. And he's serving us wine and like the coolest. So got a picture with him and sent it to Sarah, and she's like, are you fucking kidding me? That's the coolest thing ever. She's like, I'm so jealous right now, and had nothing to do with motorcycles.
Yeah.
It was all about like that camaraderie of being there, what we're doing for work,
Yeah.
but also like we're foodies. Jake and I, we get down, you know, like I want to eat in different spots. You know, I'm not trying to do like what we were talking at lunch, you know, we don't want to eat the same old restaurants.
Yeah, exactly.
We find you a greasy spoon hole in the wall that's got some history about it, you know. So
we ate I remember one year we ate at the Hermitage down there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's everything there. R.I.P. R.I.P. Oh, man.
So someone ran in there. It was the middle of the night. This was after a whole night. Someone ran in and stole the phone. Like the phone, like it's a landline. And someone runs in and just grabs it out the Hermitage down in Nashville, downtown there. Yeah. And the lady was like, "Who the fuck steals a goddamn landline?"
that's
No,
funny.
man, that was like such a spot. My lady and I, we've spent so many like hungover mornings there.
Yeah.
We've spent so many drunk nights there. It was at the time just the best diner in Nashville. I mean, and even the owners of it and, you know, the employees of it were just everything that you would want.
It was a complete
in
experience.
A diner. Yeah.
Well, cool, man. I appreciate you doing this, dude. We're sitting about 2 hours, so you know, had fun and got to know you, which is awesome because, you know, now I can not just fanboy on your shit online because you're so pretty and stuff, you know.
You know, I get paid to be a pretty person.
Yeah.
That's how we met.
But no, I appreciate you doing this, man. It's pretty rad to, you know, find out so much about you with like all these different
avenues.
Yeah, the avenues. I mean, you're a well-traveled man, so that's awesome.
Super shout out to Millie. Millie's always been family, so I appreciate him for getting me on with this. And then, like, you have followed my shit, I followed your shit. You know, phenomenal.
If you ever
painter.
come to Dallas, man, let me be y'all's like show you
ambassador.
our spot.
I love that.
Show you
be my
town.
ambassador. Show me around, daddy.
Yeah. Dude, I take so much pride in Dallas because there's like 3 spots that I'm good with, and I'm like,
yeah, I got
try
you.
this, you know, try that. You like it?
I got you over here. Pull up over here.
Yeah, I don't know,
But only 3.
only 3 spots. That's it. You know.
Yeah.
I don't eat much. I'm not as adventurous with like
No,
places.
you're Buffalo Wild Wings for sure.
Come on, dude.
To be honest, I ate B-Dub's wings the other day.
Yeah,
They got my order wrong.
It's convenient.
But
It is.
it
convenient.
did hit the way that it needed to.
Yeah.
You know.
There's not a lot in Waxahachie.
Where I live south of Dallas, like 20 miles, so 25 miles.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we live on the south side where, you know, it's just not a lot of prosperity. There's no prosperity for a lot, and then you get to the suburbs where I'm at, and it's like still none. And there's like no restaurants. There's not a lot of great food establishments. So we have to go to Dallas to kind of go eat more
adventurous.
I don't like to say upscale, but just like more quality food.
See, my thing with her is, so like my background is like really just like upscale or like fine dining, and so I've gotten over that. So all I want is like chain restaurants. No, it doesn't even have to be a hole in the wall. Give me a chain restaurant. I moved to
Long John
Nashville.
Silver's.
Bro, fuck around. Give me some Hush Puppies. Give me some Crumbs. Let's have a good time.
Talking about Captain D's earlier.
Captain
I was
D's,
like,
Cracklins, and
yeah,
Hush Puppies. It's the hit. No, I love chain restaurants, man. My favorite chain restaurant is Red Lobster. It's like
cheddar biscuits, dude.
hitting.
Every
It's
time.
wild.
And the thong song.
Yeah, and the thong song is my favorite song of all time. I love Nickelback. I love Creed. You know, it's whatever's. I'm not your normal guy. It's cool.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate it.
I appreciate you having
Thank
me, G.
you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's always love.
Well, do you have a website for your brand yet and all those kind of things going, or are you?
www.gearedsolid.com will be launching in roughly about 6 weeks.
Cool.
Holler at your boy.
They can
The
follow you
IG,
online.
yeah. You can follow me at Prior Amadeus, and then the IG will slowly start to produce content in the next month or so.
Cool. All right. Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, all the love, brother.
Yo, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I want to thank Amadeus again for coming in and sitting down, and I also want to thank Thundermax for the hospitality and Millhouse once again for helping out with these podcasts. Hope you guys are enjoying these. We're about almost done. We got one more to release this Thursday with Club Style Tennessee, and then we're going to be getting into our October podcast month. This Friday, live on the podcast on our YouTube, we're going to be doing the Down South Camp Out pre-podcast. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a party, honestly. So come hang out on the live. We might even do some giveaways on the live. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I I really do hope you guys enjoy these podcasts, and I do appreciate you listening. Don't forget to check out our sponsors at the beginning of this episode. There's lots of great sponsors there with great opportunities for you to get stuff for you and your bike. And don't forget, if you want to support this podcast even further, you can do so by checking out our Patreon. There's a link in the description, and all that helps. It helps us do more of these podcasts, get more guests on, and create better content for you guys to consume. So I appreciate all your help, and I will see you on Thursday on the next episode. Peace.